What if the biggest secret kept by the CIA isn't about aliens, but about the nature of reality itself? This is Jim Semivan, a 25-year veteran of the CIA's most secretive division. He's not a conspiracy theorist, he's an insider, and he recently made a statement that changes everything. He called the truth indigestible. He says the phenomenon isn't just physical craft, it's something that operates in the space between our minds and the quantum fabric of the universe. The implications are so terrifying, they could dismantle society as we know it. This is the real reason for the cover-up. The truth about the phenomenon would go far beyond the simply extraterrestrial, with the ability to transform our world and reality as we know it. The words were spoken by Jim Semivan, a retired CIA agent in 2007 after 25 years of service, who was recently interviewed for the Engaging the Phenomenon channel. There are a lot of problems associated with revealing this. In this particular case, the government decided to keep it secret. So, over the last 80 years, this has been to the detriment of many people who have had experiences and been told that they are crazy, which is exactly the opposite, said the former agent. I have met people who are aware of this, and as I mentioned before, one of them told me that the truth is indigestible. It is not something that we can fully understand or accept. It would be like telling someone something they can do nothing about and not knowing the repercussions of it. It is so big, so life-changing, and perhaps not in a good way, he added. Faced with such a statement, James Iandoli, his interlocutor, asked him what could be so shocking and disturbing for the public if the general notion is that we are being visited by some extraterrestrial intelligence a little more advanced and developed than us. I think it goes much deeper. If you talk to the average American, they are not that interested in this issue. We who are discussing this are part of a very small group internationally that cares about this issue, but we are a very small niche. This phenomenon does not affect most people's personal lives, Semivan replied. In talking about this with Lou Elizondo, he once drew me a Venn diagram on a whiteboard. On one side was consciousness, and on the other was quantum theory. The shaded part in the middle, he said, is probably where this is. And if you think about it, what are the two things that we don't know much about? Consciousness, whether it's local or not, and quantum theory. In the early days of quantum theory, in the 1920s and 1930s, it was understood that we are immaterial, basically an illusion. Atoms, in general, are invisible, and there is no matter there. We are just forms of energy. Now, imagine if the president had to explain this on national television. There is no way to do this without causing a huge shock. If this fact is declared, there is no turning back. It is said that another presence in the universe visits us, and we do not understand it. It has capabilities that defy our understanding, such as manipulating matter and the electromagnetic spectrum, and can show us things that may or may not be real at the same time. This introduces the idea of sovereignty, free will, and raises questions about whether society can bear it. The socio-economic and religious implications are enormous, he concluded. Semivan suggests that this fact, that they are not simply aliens, is what has been holding up recent efforts by the US Congress to gain greater transparency about unidentified anomalous phenomena. A term, it should be noted, that replaced the more simplistic UFO, precisely to give more layers of depth to the reality of it. The testimony of Jim Semivan, a seasoned CIA veteran with decades of experience navigating the world's most sensitive secrets, serves as a seismic shock to the foundation of the modern UFO conversation. His words do not merely add another voice to the chorus of disclosure. They fundamentally redirect the chorus's entire song. The conclusion we are forced to draw from his insights is as unsettling as it is profound. The core truth of the phenomenon is not a simple secret to be uncovered, but a paradigm-shattering reality that our current civilization may be psychologically, philosophically, and institutionally unequipped to process. The long-held public assumption that we are dealing with extraterrestrial visitors from another planet, albeit with advanced technology, is not so much wrong as it is dangerously incomplete, a superficial layer masking a truth so vast and strange that its revelation would force a recalibration of human identity itself. The central pillar of this new understanding, as framed by Semivan and his colleague Lou Elizondo, is the convergence of consciousness and quantum physics. This is the crucial leap beyond the nuts and bolts UFO narrative. The phenomenon is not merely demonstrating a mastery over physical space and propulsion, but over the very fabric of reality and perception. The idea that these intelligences can show us things that may or may not be real at the same time suggests a capability that goes far beyond engineering and enters the realm of metaphysics. It implies an interaction with our consciousness that is direct and manipulative, challenging the most basic tenets of our existence: the solidity of the material world, the locality and privacy of our own minds, and the linear nature of cause and effect. If these entities can project experiences, manipulate time, or interface with our perception in a way that blurs the line between objective event and subjective reality, then the entire foundation of eyewitness testimony, empirical evidence, and even personal sanity is thrown into question. This, perhaps, is the indigestible truth, that we are not merely being visited, but that we are participants in a reality far more fluid and interactive than we ever imagined. This revelation carries existential implications that dwarf the political and military concerns that have long dominated the secrecy. Semivan's stark warning about the socio-economic and religious implications points to a potential collapse of established order. Our global economic systems, our legal frameworks, and our political ideologies are all built upon a consensus model of a stable, material reality and a sovereign human agent operating within it. The introduction of a non-human intelligence that can bypass these principles at will, violating territorial sovereignty, manipulating information, and potentially influencing human thought, renders many of our foundational institutions obsolete. How does one enact policy against or engage in diplomacy with a presence that may exist in a different dimensional framework, or for whom our concepts of space and time are irrelevant? Furthermore, the religious shockwave would be unprecedented. The Abrahamic faiths, which have shaped Western civilization, are built on a unique relationship between a singular creator God and humanity, created in his image. The confirmed existence of other, potentially vastly superior intelligent creations would force a radical reinterpretation of scripture and theology. Are these entities angels, demons, Nephilim, or something entirely new? Or, as the quantum perspective hints, does their existence point toward a universe where consciousness is the fundamental substrate and the divine is something far more complex and immanent than our traditional religions have conceived? The potential for both profound new spiritual awakening and catastrophic crisis of faith is immense. This terrifying scope is precisely what Semivan identifies as the primary reason for the decades of official obfuscation and the current political inertia. It is not necessarily a conspiracy of malice, but potentially one of overwhelming prudence. How does a government, tasked with maintaining stability and protecting its citizens, announce that the bedrock of reality is not what it seems? As he posits, a presidential address confirming that we are immaterial, energy-based beings living in a conscious universe populated by non-human intelligences with control over perception would be an event without precedent. There is no protocol, no disaster plan for a crisis of ontology. The gating factor for disclosure, therefore, may not be the technology behind UAPs, but the psychological and social resilience of the human species to absorb the truth without descending into chaos, nihilism, or widespread existential despair. In the final analysis, Jim Semivan's testimony forces us to conclude that the engagement with the phenomenon is not a problem to be solved by aerospace engineers and physicists alone, but a threshold to be crossed by philosophers, neuroscientists, theologians, and artists. The shift in terminology from UFO to unidentified anomalous phenomena is thus revealed as more than bureaucratic nuance. It is a tacit admission of this deeper, more disquieting reality. The journey ahead is no longer a simple quest to identify the pilots of strange aircraft, but a collective, species-level challenge to expand our understanding of consciousness, matter, and our own place in a cosmos that is infinitely stranger, more connected, and more mysterious than we have ever allowed ourselves to believe. The truth is not just hidden, it is, in a very real sense, waiting for us to evolve enough to be able to bear it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. I love hearing from you. Check out more videos on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.